Over the past year, the Danish monarchy has experienced more events than in the last 2 decades combined. At the center of attention was Queen Mary, originally from Australia, who this year celebrated the 20th anniversary of her marriage to King Frederik, and became the full-fledged Queen of Denmark. Her ascension to the throne, along with the official coronation of her husband, marked not just a historical moment, but a new chapter in the world's monarchical history. On January 14th, in front of a crowd of thousands at Christiansborg Palace in Copenhagen, Frederik was proclaimed the new King of Denmark, Greenland, and the Faroe Islands. Alongside him, Mary became Queen, and this was effectively the first time in history that an Australian officially received the title of Queen Consort. Moreover, the term consort is used extremely rarely. The entire royal court, the Danish government, and the subjects proudly refer to Mary simply as the Queen of Denmark. The inaugural image of the Queen, appearing on the palace balcony, immediately achieved iconic status. Mary chose a white dress by designer Søren Schmidt, tailored by fashion designer Birgit Hallestein, who had previously created her wedding attire. For royal jewelry, Mary opted for a ruby ensemble, one of her most frequently used sets since her marriage in 2004. The combination of red and white mirrored the colors of the Danish flag, and, as noted by fashion experts, emphasized the unity of the royal couple and the country they now officially lead. In his first speech as king, addressing the crowd, Frederik emphasized his desire to become the King of Tomorrow and expressed his readiness to undertake the extensive mission of uniting different layers of society. He noted that in this challenging endeavor, he would require support not only from the people and his family, but above all, from his wife. Already in April, the royal family published the first official gala portraits of the king and queen, which now adorn Danish embassies worldwide. In one of the portraits, Queen Mary introduced the royal Danish jewels for the first time, the emerald paruari, a set historically reserved for the reigning queen alone. Additionally, Mary's dress featured a miniature portrait of King Frederik and the Order of the Elephant, Denmark's highest honor. Later, the palace released additional, more informal photographs of the royal couple, now used during official trips, visits, and important events. In these shots, Mary poses in her pristine white dress by Søren Schmidt, but without the voluminous scarf she wore on the day of the proclamation. One of the hallmark traditions of the Danish royal family is the annual summer voyage throughout the kingdom and its northern neighbors, aboard the yacht Danebrog. This year, for King Frederik and Queen Mary, this journey marked their first joint tour since ascending to the throne. As part of this extended voyage in May, they visited numerous coastal cities of Denmark, and then in June and July, traveled to the Faroe Islands and Greenland, which are formerly part of the Kingdom of Denmark. The summer tour along the Danish coast concluded in August, when the couple visited the cities of Bornholm, Aro, Assens, and Vejle. During one of the stops, in an interview with the local TV channel, TV2, King Frederik admitted that he was deeply moved to see Mary and their children join him on the balcony of Christiansborg Palace at the moment of the official proclamation. "It was one of the greatest impressions of my life," he said. Queen Mary, in turn, recalled how warmly and emotionally the people welcomed her husband. "We heard the incredible roar and excitement of the crowd. Although we did not see him in the first seconds ourselves, it was a very beautiful and stirring moment. I felt pride and great joy." In addition to the traditional sailing along the Danish coast, the king and queen visited Sweden and Norway. These trips were not ordinary gestures of courtesy, but the first official state visits since the change of the throne, aimed at strengthening the long-standing close ties between the Scandinavian monarchies. Interestingly, earlier in April, Mary traveled to Germany to support the Danish men's handball team, while Frederik visited Poland on business. In October, the Queen made another solo visit to Brazil, where she participated in a number of official and charitable events. Upon her return, she confessed that during one of the ceremonial dinners, she was offered an exotic dish containing ants. A major event of the year was the 20th wedding anniversary of Frederik and Mary on May 14th. The royal couple celebrated it rather modestly, already being in Norway as part of a state visit. On that day, the palace released a commemorative photograph of the couple against the backdrop of the yacht Dannebrog. The day before the anniversary, another symbolic event took place. Queen Mary wore the Poire pearl tiara for the first time, which had previously belonged to Queen Margrethe II. Unlike the official royal jewels, which do not leave Denmark, this tiara can be taken abroad. Like any royal family, Frederik and Mary have several historical palaces and castles to choose from. However, they spend most of their time in two locations: Frederik VIII's Amalienborg Palace, the official winter residence, and the office house at Frederiksborg Palace, where they typically reside during the summer. In the spring, the royal couple moved to a recently restored house at Frederiksborg. It is noteworthy that this is where Mary and Frederik lived at the very beginning of their married life, before the completion of the extensive restoration of the rooms at Amalienborg Palace. During the summer, they also had the opportunity to visit Graston Castle, where they were ceremoniously welcomed by the local residents. By the end of September, the couple officially returned to Frederik's Amalienborg Palace, fully assuming their roles as king and queen. In October, Mary and Frederik hosted a foreign leader for the first time. President of Iceland Halla Thorisdóttir and her husband, Bjorn Skulason, arrived in Copenhagen for a reciprocal visit. On that evening, the Queen wore the pearl poire tiara, as well as vintage earrings that once belonged to Queen Margrethe II and Queen Ingrid. Mary complemented her outfit with a sparkling blue top by Jesper Hovering and a layered skirt by Oscar de la Renta, which she had worn in 2005 at a charity event in Australia. Just a few weeks later, the Danish court organized a second state reception. This time, the royal couple hosted the President of Egypt in Copenhagen. This meeting entered the chronicles for another reason. To celebrate, Queen Mary wore a new tiara for the first time, created by modifying a portion of the royal jewels featuring rose-cut diamonds. Interestingly, the transformation of the jewels is not merely a whim of the Queen, but a return to an ancient practice. Historically, the queens of Denmark had the right to adapt their jewelry to contemporary needs and trends. According to the Palace Press Service, Queen Mary is reviving an old tradition by responding to the new challenges of the times, thereby bringing the semi-forgotten stones out of the shadows onto the grand stage of royal celebrations. Another reform announced in November involves the gradual abolition of the royal warrant system. It is expected that this ancient institution will be abolished by 2030. The court stated that the times demand new approaches, and also noted that King Frederik and Queen Mary intend to keep the monarchy at the center of public attention while maintaining its relevance and viability for the 21st century. The past year has been a period of significant changes for Queen Mary. From her historic proclamation and first official tour of Denmark and its northern territories, to hosting foreign heads of state and undertaking joint trips with Scandinavian allies. Meanwhile, King Frederik himself, despite his reserved demeanor, has already demonstrated how important his wife's and family's support is to him. Together, they strive to ensure that the Danish monarchy does not remain merely a cultural and historical legacy, but continues to play an important role in modern society. It can be said with confidence that Queen Mary has established herself as a symbol of elegance, dedication, and readiness for change. In recent months, she has proven that she is capable of inspiring not only the Danes, but also people around the world, while remaining a people's queen.